like finally a game here?
It's exciting. We've spent a lot of time this offseason getting prepared for this week, and we're going to do everything we can to work on a good protection plan, timing with receivers, but it's exciting to finally be back at it.
Chandler Jones is new to the division. What kind of challenge will he be for you guys?
He's definitely a tough defender. He's had so much success in this league that he's definitely a threat on that side of the ball, and you have to have a good protection plan for those guys, especially Maxx as well. They're two of the best in the league.
What's it like going into this season, maybe compared to last year where there was so much unknown, and maybe now there's a little bit known quantity after a year with the offense?
I think it's always huge to have a year of film on the offense, especially with this Joe Lombardi system that we went with last year. We're just going, learning, doing our best to pick it up as quickly as we could last year. But I feel like we're kind of steps ahead of where we were at this point last year. So I think the timing with the receivers has been great. The protection, it's all been blocked up. So we're going to do everything we can to continue to develop, get better at that, because there's still plenty of room for improvement.
You just talking to some of your teammates this week, one of the things heading into this game is there's a lot of unknown as far as what Patrick Graham is going to do schematically with the new personnel. How are you sort of approaching that part of it, and sort of what are you expecting from his defense from a coverage perspective?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You have to just watch as much film as you can. You have to watch the Giants, you have to watch the Raiders, you have to watch their preseason, do everything you can to see as much as you can so that you're able to kind of adapt to whatever is out on the field. And we know that they're a very talented team, well coached, and so they're going to play different coverages, and we might not know exactly what they're going to do, but we're going to do our best to adapt out there and try and watch as much film as we can this week heading into it to feel comfortable.
How much adjusting are you expecting to do, like even on a drive-to-drive basis, once you start seeing, okay, this is actually how they're going to implement some of these guys and utilize some of these guys?
That's a great question. That's kind of what you find out after the first drive. And, you spend this week and last week as well just preparing and watching as much film as you can. And maybe it's what we saw, maybe it's not. And so that drive, you're going to have to adjust and come back to the sideline and say, hey, this is what they're doing. This is what we're going to need to do. So, it takes a team effort to do that.
With that, do you enjoy that aspect of a game day, or would you rather just be able to focus on the game, or do you like sort of that trying to figure it out on the fly?
I think it's part of the challenge. If I was defensive coordinators too, I wouldn't show anything. I'd do my best to hide in disguise and make the opponent to think as much as they can. But that's part of the challenge. And going into this week, just watch as much film as we can, and just seeing whatever they do and adapt to that.
Is week one the biggest game as far as in-game adjustments, or do you still find it late in the season?
I think that's a good question. I think for the most part it's probably week one, just because it's a new opponent and you haven't seen a whole lot of film on exactly what they're going to do that year. But I think throughout the year you're going to see differences and you're going to have to make adjustments, and I think that's what good teams do. So we're going to try and do that this year.
You guys made a lot of additions to the defense. How much did it help you facing them every single day during training camp? Help you to prepare for the start of week one?
Oh, a ton. Those guys are so competitive, and we had a great job this offseason of just pushing each other. And, they make us better, and hopefully we made them better. And to have guys like J.C. Jackson, Derwin, and Nas, Bryce Callahan, all those guys on defense, they make us better. And so to go up against those guys week in and week out, it made us better going into the year.
How has Sony Michel been able to fit in quickly?
He's been awesome. He's been able to pick up the offense really quickly. Obviously very smart, very talented, but picked up incredibly quickly. So I don't know what the plan is with him, but he's a good dude and really excited to watch him play this year.
When you're going into a game like this where there's so much unknown, you're going to have to do a ton of adjusting. How much better do you sleep knowing that you have Corey Linsley at center, a guy that just has seen as much as he's seen and might be able to identify things quickly out there, or when you guys are back on the sideline?
Yeah, he's one of the best at that. And to come off to the sideline and be able to talk with him, Matt Filer, Rashawn, who've seen a lot of football, that offensive line is going to be prepared, and we're going to do our best to have a good protection plan going into it, and to have a guy like Austin Eckler blocking as well. I think to have that group of guys, that core group of guys together, it helps a ton on game day.
Justin, do you like opening the season against a division opponent?
I think the division games are always super important, especially with the division that we're in. We think really highly of the opponents in our division, and they mean a lot to us. And so week in, week out, we're going to have to do our best, put our best effort out there. But it's a great challenge and exciting opportunity.
But in week one, would you rather see the division opponents further down the line, or is it exciting to have a division opponent right off the bat?
I think the great thing about that is I don't get to pick the schedule. And so whatever they put out in front of us, we're going to have to do our best to play. And we can complain, we can do whatever we want, but we're playing the Raiders week one, so we have to be ready for them.
I'm not sure at this point you guys talked about the maturation of Rashawn Slater and the way he had come he had learned everything so quickly. Do you feel the same thing about Zion?
Zion has done a great job this offseason. Maybe he's had a little more reps compared to the year prior with COVID, but Zion's picked it up very quickly. He's a steady guy out there, and we know that he's going to give us our best effort. So it's been great to have him out there.
Ahead of training camp, you said you were going to be really working on your footwork, and that was kind of going to be a focus. How would you say that's come along as you're entering the season here?
Hopefully I've improved a little bit on that. I think we spent a lot of time this offseason working on that with Shane Day, Joe Lombardi, and the rest of the quarterbacks, and it was a huge emphasis for us going into this offseason especially. So, only time will tell. We're going to do our best to execute out there and have calm feet in the pocket, so we'll find out.
Biggest skill position addition as far as you guys was add Gerald Everett. Where do you feel like through preseason and training camp the familiarity level is?
Mm-hmm. It's grown quite a bit, and like you said, it's been a huge addition for us, and to have a guy like that who's able to beat man coverage and is able to do special things with the ball when he gets it in his hands, you got to find him. You got to get plays designed for him to go make something happen, and Gerald's just done a great job of picking up the offense, and it's not an easy offense to pick up, but he's done that, and we're going to do our best to get him the ball because special things happen when he gets the ball.
I feel like he's a bigger threat for yards after the catch maybe compared to what you've had the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think that is a good point you bring up. Gerald is obviously a very special, talented, athletic guy. And I think the tight ends that we had in the past couple of years, too, are pretty talented as well. Jared Cook and Hunter Henry, those guys were pretty good with the ball as well. So we've been fortunate enough to have guys like that, especially me being able to throw to those guys because they make my job a lot easier.
What's your comfort level with Joshua Palmer from going into the season?
Yeah, a ton. He's so much more comfortable in the offense, and he's confident, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He runs the ball really well, runs hard on routes, and so he's one of those guys that you trust out there, and you know that he's going to put his best effort, and somehow he's going to get open.
On game day, when do you flip the switch and go into Justin Herbert, the competitor?
I think that's kind of a weekly thing, and I do my best to take practice reps, and when we're in the film room, to take all those reps like it's a game. And there's definitely times to turn that off when you're at home or when you're eating lunch, but being in that mode and being prepared heading into Sundays is what gives us our best advantage.
Do you turn it off on Friday night or Saturdays, or is it still the same problem?
I try not to turn it off. I need to be dialed in as long as I can and study and prepare as best as I can so I have any chance on Sunday.
Just out of curiosity, did you watch the game last night?
Bits and pieces.
Like in what setting? Were you at home? Were you here?
Yeah, we were here in the quarterback room.